Welcome, code fans. Today we are going to make a CSS playing card. It is not the most exciting or challenging job, but it's a great compositional piece for any project that you are doing that involves cards. We might use this as a compositional element for a future project that we're doing. So let's get started. We'll go here into the HTML. Which is, what is my HTML? Oh, it's working. It's working. Not looking too bad. So we'll make a div and give it a class of card. And I've already decided we're going to do the 7 of hearts because it's a nice middle of the lane card. It's going to challenge us with our CSS, but still be doable. Like, we're not going to be doing the King of Spades today, unfortunately. So let's start with some CSS on the card. We want it to look good. Not card. So let's see, what's the real dimensions of a playing card? 2.5 by 3.5. That sounds good. So we'll say width equals 250 pix. Height is 350 pix. Border is 1 pixel solid gray. And what's the border radius on a playing card? So according to Magic Cards, it's 1/8 of an inch or 3 millimeters. So if this is 250 millimeters, no, these are inches. 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. Which means we want 1/8 or 100 divided by 8 is 12.5. My calculations suggest the border radius should be 12.5. Let's see what happens. Looks like a real card to me. Let's put a container in it so we can see. Class equals card container. Wrap the card in that container. And now give the container some cool classes. Card container. We'll make it position absolute. Top 200 pix. Left 200 pix. So now our card's right in the middle of the screen for us. And that's looking pretty good. What else can we do for this card? Let's make the border a little bit thicker. Could we make it the same as the border radius? That's good, but not great. Let's just try 1.25 pixels. A little bit thicker. No, that looks the same. 3 pixels. 3.5 pixels. We'll get it. We'll get it later. So a playing card has its number and its symbol, then a bunch of its symbols, and the number and the symbol reversed on the bottom. So let's just start with the upright version of the number and the symbol. Say div class equals value container. So it's going to contain the card's value, and then we'll have a class inside that says value card face, no, value suit. And another one called value number. And we'll actually just put the number 7 right in there. And there's our very stylish, very cool 7, which is not the best. So that's looking good. Now we can style this up. We'll say value container. Position is also absolute, and from the top it'll be, we'll start with, I guess, 20 pixels, and left 20 pixels. I'll take the value number, and we want this to be bigger. Also, let's get a font. What kind of font should we use? Font, what would work out of the box? Sans? Just looks the same to me. Let's just work on the size, I guess. We'll get the font later. Size 16 pixels. Should that be a font size? Why isn't anything changing with our number? How do you make a font bigger? It's always been a tricky one. Oh no, that's white. That works. 36 pixels. 48 pixels. That's a good size for a 7. Now for the suit, let's see. In Unicode, there's symbols for each of the suits of a game of cards. So I just look up Unicode heart. Plenty of heart symbols. We have heart symbols to choose actually. Let's just copy this one. It'd be cool if we had our Unicode version of it. Good, that's good. So now you can copy it from the thing. So it's ampersand pound 9829 semicolon. Ampersand. Great, so there is our heart. And that's also in the value container. So we're going to want to position the number and the suit on its own. Value number, I'll make another class for value suit. And so value number will be left 0 pix and position absolute. And value suit will be right 0 pix and position absolute. Should change things. That's looking good. Let's say switch these so that the number is on the left. That's weird. Let's make the value container give a nice big width of 100 pix. Good. So that looks more like it. And we also want to give a big font size to value suit. So let's make another rule. That's for value number and value suit. And put in the font size here. That's good. Now let's make the width smaller on the container until they just seem to touch. $55. That looks good to me. Now let's give this value container, let's change the position a little bit so it looks a little bit more balanced. Let's try 30 and 30. 30 and 35. That's too far. 35 and 35. No, that looks a little bit too low. Let's go with 30 and 30. So that's cool. So we have our first 7 of hearts that showed up there. Hole in one. All right. So next things first, we have this. Could we make that look a little better? I'd like to think so. Let's look up a cool font. Let's see, Google fonts. We don't want Roboto, let's go Lobster. Lobster is a classic font. And we just want to inject it. So we'll put this HTML here. And then for this one, we'll say font family is lobster. Cool, and now we have this swarthy looking number. Let's make the top 25, a little bit too close to the top for my liking. That's good. So now we need a second value container for the bottom of the card. So I'll just copy it and make this one value container, container bottom. And so here beneath value container, we'll just take this and we'll make a container bottom class. And we'll kind of override some of the values in value container. We'll actually make the bottom 25 pixels, the top 0 pixels. No, it's like we don't want them in the same thing. Let's give this one a container bottom and the top one actually a value of container top. Now for the one with container top, I'll make two classes for these. Container top will be top and left. And container bottom will be bottom and right. Which does not seem super right. Let's check out our thing here. How is the bottom? It's like going to the bottom, then it's going way farther than the bottom. It just doesn't really care about the positioning of that 7. Then container bottom, we're also going to want to flip it so that the numbers are upside down. So we'll give it translate, transform, rotate 180 degrees. That was easy, and it also moved the positioning to the correct spot. Howdy doody. Nice, so that's looking good. So we have our 7 of hearts. It's a nice looking card, looking pretty slick. Can we give it a little drop shadow, I'm wondering? Let's see, how do you do that? CSS drop shadow. Box shadow. Now let's just copy this code, see what happens. Nice, good looking card. That just makes everything look a whole lot slicker. So let's completely change these numbers so that they're way, way lighter. Let's make that 2, 2, and 1. That's looking good. And 888 is a fine color. Not looking too bad. So here we have this slick looking card. Now what we need is we need 7 hearts positioned in the middle. And I guess we'll kind of have it row of 2, row of 3, row of 2. So there's not really a way to do this except kind of manually using a bit of CSS. There's not any CSS I can think of that'll evenly distribute 7 elements automatically. So let's start here. So I'm gonna make this wider and get rid of our JS. We're not using any JS today. So here we'll make a class inside, where do we want it to be? Inside card, I guess we'll just put it at the top. Div class equals, what do you call the symbol? Is it just a symbol? Symbol cluster container. And let's make some CSS for that. So the symbol cluster container, it's got to have a certain width of 70 pixels, maybe? No, that's way too little. We'll make it 200 by 200 for now. We'll make the position absolute. We'll give it a background color of magenta so we can see it, but not for permanent. So there it is. That's good. Top 100 pixels. 75 pixels. That's good. Left 25 pixels. Nice. So there we go. So there's our container. It's in the middle. You can see it's lining up nicely with our 7s. So inside the system cluster container, I guess we're going to have to, we can either style them each one individually or have them kind of line up one next to the other and then make them in 3 rows, which I guess is going to be the easiest thing. Or we can just have it as a text element that's flowing. Let's try just one. Div class equals symbol. And inside we'll put a heart. And we'll give all these symbol ones some font properties, just mostly font size, I don't know, 78 pixels? It's a bit too big right now, 64 pixels. Now, will the first child CSS selector work? Or the nth child? It seems definitely not like nth child is going to work at all. That's because we don't want symbol. All right, let's backtrack here. Let's keep this font size for symbol. That's looking good. But for symbol, cluster, container, pseudo element, nth child, and pass in the first one. Let's see if that will work. And also we want all symbols to have position absolute for now. See, is this going to work if we make it left 50? Will this apply? No. It does not seem to care about the nth child at all. Let's see. CSS nth child. How does that work? Okay, it's just 1 colon because, you know, makes sense. So we actually do want this on symbol? Man, this CSS is crazy. Symbol. Great. So symbol nth child 1. We can set its position. So we can do that. And then for the second one, we can say right is 50 pixels. And then let's make another symbol here. Great. So even though we haven't added any CSS, we're just using nth child to style our 7 things. Let's try the second row. So now we have a 3rd, 4th, and 5th child. So nth child 3 will be left, a little bit closer to the left, so 35 pixels, and top 100 pixels. That's good. A little bit too close to the bottom though. Top 50 pixels. Well, not close enough. 60. Looks good. And left 30. I just want that to line up nicely. 25. Good. That looks good. Now let's jump to 5th child and change left to right. Looking good. And now let's do 4th child. And we'll put this in the middle. Left 50, left 100. 75. 75 is a little bit too far. 80. 80 looks right to me, folks. This is looking good. Now, let's just add 2 more symbols. And give them some appropriate styling. So we'll just copy this for 1 and 2, but make it 6 and 7. And then we'll give both of these a bottom of, what do we want for the bottom? 10 pixels? Yeah, 10 pixels looks good. Very cool. And let's get rid of our magenta. Can we make the font size bigger without messing up all our alignment? Yes-ish. But let's just leave it at 64 because it's not the end of the world. And let's get rid of this magenta styling. Where'd our magenta styling go? Magenta. We must remove this background color. And there you have it, the 7 of hearts. One little problem, the 7 of hearts is red, not black. So let's change that. Color red. Nice. Doesn't that look like the 7 of hearts? Are those 7? Yes, counts like 7 to me. So there you have it. It's a playing card in CSS. It's useful. It's a useful element. It's simple. We only do the 7s, but you can make one for a whole deck and have a good looking performant CSS deck. So I've been the Code Whisperer. Thanks a lot.